Welcome to the fastest daf in town. Today we're Nedarim daf Chav Zayin. We're going to begin on the bottom of Chav Vav Mebez, 3 lines on the bottom. Eisvei Ravina Rava. So Ravina asks the question to Rabbi. He says as follows: Rav Nasan Omer Yesh Neder. There are Nedarim shemiksaso mutter, miksaso aser. That part of it is mutter, and yet part of it is going to be aser. Now, what exactly is this referring to, Ketzad? To neder min hakalkala. Let's say a person made a neder regarding a particular basket. As we continue to Chav Zayin and Aleph, v'hayu ba b'nai shuach, and in it there were some good figs. The Amar, and he said, had I known that there were actually good figs inside of this basket, which I made a neder against, then lo ha'isa neder, would have made such a neder. So hakalkola surah b'nai shuach muteris. So he said that we actually will split it. Then we'll say that some of them are mutter, namely the b'nai shuach, because he actually had a pesach on it, that he never would have made such a neder. However, the kalkala, in which he doesn't have any reason to have changed his mind, so that remains aser. Ashibar Kiva v'limid neder shehuter miksaso huter kuloi. That once you made a neder and part of that neder is removed, so then it's going to end up freeing the entire thing. As we saw before, kechol hayotzim and pivyasa, it says kechol has to be the whole thing. So if a person ends up, for whatever reason, freeing up part of that statement, so then the whole thing is removed. So my love must be, is it not? The Yomi says as follows: if I knew that there was good things inside of it, I would have said that the black and white figs are aser and the b'nai shuach mutaros. I would have stipulated it. Rabbi Kivahi, and this is in accordance to Rabbi Kiva, pligi Rabbanan, and the Rabbanan argue with this. Where it says, "Well, but Omer ilu hayisi yodesh shuach b'sayich." If I knew that there was good dates, good figs in it, hayisi Omer kol kalkol asur b'nai shuach mutaros. Then I would have said the entire basket is aser and the b'nai shuach is mutter. Fine. So if you look in Rashi, Upligi Rabbana Leha, the Yamar HaKakola Surah B'nai Shuach Mutaris V'Kashal Rava. Why is this whole thing a question on Rava? It says the Omer the Kul Yalma, everyone agrees, Heicha the Omer Pliny Asurin V'Abba Mutter. The Kulan Mutaris the Divri HaKoil. So again, he said no, that's not correct. It's shaykh that we would actually say that again. He would have said, had I known that the good figs were in there, then I would have only said kalkala. Fine. So man tano hada tano ban another mechamishim ani adam person made a neder of 5 people ke'echad as one le'echad mehem huter kulan. So huter le'echad mehen huter kulan. Once you find a heter for one of them, then all of them are going to be mutter. However, let's say it's chutz me'echad mehen. Let's say a person said chutz me'echad mehen. Look in Rashi. Dahainu dumya de kulchem. It's comparable to the language of kulchem, asurim, chutz ma'aba, except for my father, who mutter v'kulin asurin. So he's mutter and everyone else is aser. Now, ilo rabba, reisha Rabbi Kiva, v'seifa divrei hakol. Irava seifa rabbanan, v'reisha divrei hakoil. So the reisha, Rashi says that tani hutter le'echad mehem hutter kul Rabbi Kivahi. The seifa tani hu mutter v'hen asurin divrei hakol he. Okay, we look in, just as a reminder, in the bottom of Chav Vav Mebez, L'Rava, so it says, in the halacha kaimelon Rabbi Kiva, a liv de beis hill, the neder shehuter miksaser huter kulo. So he ended up paskening that the halacha, the din is, that once part of the neder is removed, the whole thing is removed. So that we say, Tebahasrahu naktinan karabul chumra. Because in the city, in this particular area, we hold like Rabbi Chumra. The Maimid Kulhoin Asurin. That if it's B'Maimid Kulhoin, if in the presence of all of them it's Asur, the Yavav Mutter. Uvamishana, but let's say you deviated from your original statement, Bein Meprat L'Klal, Prat L'Klal, Meklan Prat, Kigon Mutarin, V'chein Psak Ramban. So this was actually TB2. That says When you are ma'amid devarav, the din is they are all usher, but your father's mutter. When you are mashana devarav, we apply the din of neder shehuter miksasa huter kulo, so they are all mutter. If you look at this Ran over here, so he says because of Oid Haramban Zal, they feel b'mashana that even if you deviate and change, davka b'neder shehuter alidei Pesach, it's only that it's mutter through a Pesach. Shedai miksas nidrei tois. It's comparable to a neder that there was a mistake. Kivan sheish tois b'neder butter kulo. So it's a mistake in the neder, the whole thing gets thrown out. Avol hitziruhu b'charata. If let's say it was only through a charata, which is after the fact, ein kol haneder nitar el mashu mischaret bo bovad. So according to the Ramban, he says that the only time we say that batal kulo is dafka by Pesach, but not by a charata. However, avol taisis custody feel nita b'charata kivan the chacham oiker hadedemi karai b'chavan shehutim exaser huter kulo. So according to Zamachlokas, according to Taisis, who's chaylik the Ramban, he says that it doesn't make any difference, even in a situation where it's b'charata, so the chacham removes it entirely, he's oiker it, and therefore even there we say huter kulo. Next mission, Nidri Einstein. So let's say this is the fourth case of our parak of Arba Nedarim. So when it comes to an Einis, something which is beyond one's control, that we said the neder is not chal, and you don't even need Shel's Chacham, is in the following situation. Hedira Chaveroi, Shioichel Etzel. So again, he wants this person to eat and to dine with him. So he makes a neder to forbid him from getting any benefit from him. If he doesn't dine with him, and all of a sudden we're going to see his friend had an Einis, he couldn't do it. So we're going to see that neder doesn't mean anything, because you didn't have intention that the neder should be chal in the case that it was an Einis. Adiru chaver shoichel, so you want to eat by you, v'choilu who gets up getting sick, or shechol abnoi, his son, or sheikva nahar, there's a river separating him and you. So hari elu nidri einsin. So what does it mean nidri einsin? So if we're looking the Ran, he says kolaimer the afala delav oinis gomerhu. Even if let's say it's not such a total oinis, so his kid's sick, so he could still have come. So we still say it's nidri einsin. Lafi, says the Ran, shul ola al daitoi. It never went on your mind to aser him al chaver on your friend imo yoichel imo el kishiyoichel avobo oinis kalal. It's only when he would choose not to come, even though there was absolutely no valid reason at all. There's no oinus at all. So if there's no oinus at all, that's when we say that the neder would be chal. However, even if it's a neder, an oinus, which is maybe not so stark, or he says avol kol shenenes ksas, a small oinus, mutter delavadaita hachiadre. So that's the reason behind it. So now the Gemara discusses the following case. Ahu gavri, there was a person, the atvis zachvasa bevedina. So Rashi says shehevi shtari sechuyoisel basin. So he had the need to be able to bring documents to be able to prove his case. So Rashi says he had to go back home to be able to get the proper documentation. So hopefully be able to win. The Omer, and he said the following. He said, "If I don't come back within 30 days, then then any proof that I bring is going to become void. It's going to be worthless." Now he said this. Now what happens if, let's say, intnis v'lo asa? So he didn't come back within 30 days. It was an inus. So based on our Mishnah, you would think that an inus is okay, and therefore, just like the neder doesn't count, so to over here, his words don't count, and therefore the the documentation is still valid. So Rav Huna batal zachvase. According to Rav Huna, says no, that's it. He lost his chance. He made the stipulation. Therefore, he loses out. It doesn't matter as an oinus. So Amili Rabbi says no. So the naira didn't do anything, so therefore she doesn't get punished. Furthermore, any oinus for that matter, something which is beyond a person's control, we say that individual is not. It was not part of the cheshbon, and therefore these chusim should still work. The v'chitema katolish v'chitema. So maybe you want to tell me Katala shiny, says the Ran, Kalemer, Dimamakam Katala, when it comes to death, Ikatinus Oinus. So maybe that's when there's an Oinus. When it comes to any other thing, maybe an Oinus is not gonna work. But Tana, Nidri Oinsin, Hediru Chaverai. When it comes to Nidri Oinsin, let's say you made a net against your friend, Sheoichel Atzav, V'chaylahu, O Shechal Benoi, O Sheikvo Nahar, Hari Elo Nidri Oinsin. So we see with Farish that an oinus still applies, even if it's not a life and death situation. Even if it's not an oinus mamish, it's an oinus ksas, shenenes ksas. Maybe that again, we based on this Mishnah, we see that it's still an oinus should still work. So therefore, that should be enough of a reason, like Rabbi holds, that the din should be that the oinus is valid, and therefore you can still use this documentation. So Rava Maishna Mahadit Nan. The problem is, according to Rava, who says that an oinus does work, I'll show you a situation where it doesn't. Nan Harize Gitech. A person says, here's your get, he says to his wife, Miachshav, and he says, I want it to actually work from this moment. Imo Bas Mikad Yud Beis Chodesh. This is the beginning of Ksuvas, we saw this. If I don't come in the next 12 months, then the get will be chal. Umeis b'teich yud beis chodesh. So let's say he actually died. So how does it get? So we say it's considered to be a get. Now, the fact the Gemara, my is it's considered to be an einus. The guy died. So l'chayra we say ein einsim gittin l'chayra. So the Gemara answers, and we're gonna have to go back to the Ran in a second. Amri dilmashani hasa. Maybe it's different over there as we continue Chavzan Bebeis. De'i havi yada the mace. Middle altar having gomer v'yav gita. Had he known that he was going to die, he would have given her the get right away. So again, in that situation, if you gave your wife a get, then there's no more din yibum. Maybe he wants to avoid her from having to have yibum. Says the Ran, shahari lo nasan lo get el mishum do nichle the tipul k'mei yavam. The koshkein the iyada the mace gomer. If you know he's going to die, gomer megarsha kehechad tipul k'mei yavam. So he certainly would want to have her die, her not have to go to do yibum, had he known that he was going to die. So therefore, we don't say, oh, it was an oinus. So he died, oh, it was an oinus, and therefore maybe in fact the condition is just thrown out. No, we say that it's considered to be a valid get. Miachshav, again, because of this notion that he doesn't want his wife, maybe in that situation, because he doesn't want his wife to have to fall to yibum. Okay, so weiter. So weiter Gemara. So Maishna Mahu. How is it different than the following case, which is again Sol Ksubas? The Armel Ilo Asina Makana Tlasin Yarmin. If I don't come within 30 days, I'll have a Gita. Also Paski Mavra, and all of a sudden there's this river separating you, and you can't cross because the boat's gone. You're screaming, look, I'm here. So let it be that it's keel like I crossed, and therefore I don't want it to be a get. You're not in the city, and therefore it's not considered an einus. On this, that should be an einus. So right, so Maria says no. The Galia Shani. This is a little bit different because the notion of a missing the boat is something which is prevalent. It's something which is shchiach, and therefore for that reason you should have had also that shani umavra migali einsi. Again, it's something which is regarding missing this boat and not crossing the river. That's something which is a davar shchiach. And therefore, when it comes to a typical oinus, maybe we do say that yesh oinus begin. However, it's an oinus the shchiach. You should have had that in mind. So fine, hold off on that. Let's look in the Ran. But dilma oinus the megal shani kolaimer the kivan to shchiach tuva. Since it's very common, this could happen. Havlias lasnuye. It should have been part of the condition. You should have said, okay, if I don't come in 30 days, oh, by the way, if the reason why I don't come is because of this davar shchiach, because the boats won't be there to bring me there, then you should have stipulated that. But when the hanimili l'shnuye dehach, you say the same thing here. Hanatami mishum dein oinus begitin. The reason why there's ein oinus begitin mishum snus and mishum pritzois. is because, as we mentioned over there in Ksuvas, that we're concerned of someone who is snua, who's going to distance herself and think even ba'inus she's going to be aser, and Perutzos, who even Baratzon, even they're going to end up saying that they're going to be a Baratzon. Kisim prepare common Ksuvas el delafum taima the makshas really tais einis begin mishanila. So in other words, even though there was other answers brought down over there in Ksuvas, we decided instead to mention a milsa de shchiach is the reason why it's different in this situation. Okay. Question T A2. El ointim beget mavor begemara deloy chashiva oinis uveget kayim. So he said, im lobas yad yud beis chaydish l'soif mace. The guy dies as the nicha the tepel k'mei yavam. Or paskim avra the goli unse. The Ran says it's a shchiachu v'havil yasnuye. So since it's a davar shchiach, so you should have actually have stipulated that. You should have mentioned it, and the fact that you didn't, so therefore because of that you lose out. It's also question 13. This was TA2. Okay. All right, let's look at question TB3. Maybe a similar question. Let's see. Which we says machlokas. So Rabbi Omer Oinasu, that's also an Oinus. So Maishnol Rabbi Haris Gitich Mashavi Mobasi Venetis Mamisa O Mamavra Bahavi Get. Same question. Let's see what I wrote. By a get, it is poshut that it would, if you would know he would die, he would have given it to her Ma'achshav, so she won't be Zokak Yavam. Or by the Mavra, this is an Oinus that is Shchiach. So he should have known this may happen and make a Tanai. Okay, very good answer. Okay, so it was exactly the same. That was TB3. Let me mark this down on the side. TB3. Okay, weiter. So now the Gemara asks a different question. Was michti? So Rav Huna michti. Asmachtehi. Asmachtelu kanyam. So what does this mean? He did intend to not be back, right? So he shouldn't lose his rights. So he wasn't serious about his words. It wasn't a real commitment, right? That's an asmachta. It wasn't something which was a real commitment. So my answer is shani hacha demitavson zachvason. The beis din is basically holding on to his schos. The heicha demitvason lavasmachtehi, and when he's holding on to it, then not. So by making this statement, he's saying after 30 days, I'm declaring that my previous rayos, my previous proofs are false. This is a hodah that it's not real proofs. So we're going to see. But not Mishapar Mixas Chayvo, someone who paid up part of his loan, the Hishlish as Shtaro, and they gave over star to a third party. Yomer Imein Ani Nice in the Limikandi Alamid Yoim. If I don't come back within 30 days, Tain Lo Shtaro. Give it to the Malva. Hegizman Vonosan. He didn't reach, he didn't come. So Rabbi Yosi Omer Yitain, he has to give it to the Malva. Rabbi Yehuda Omer Lo Yitain. Yom Rav Nachman Rabbi Murabu Murav in Halacha Rabbi Yosi. The halacha is not like Rabbi Yosi that says to give it. Diyomer Smachta Kanya. So the answer Shani Hach Diyomer Batlan Zachvasa. The Hilchasa Smachta Kanya Vehud. Fine. So the answer is that over here, since he said Levatlan Zachvasan. So again, the way that we understand this is that it must be he's basically saying that it's not real. Because why would a person make such a statement? So therefore, it must be, not that he shouldn't lose his rights because of Smachta Kanya and he wasn't serious about his words. The reality is the fact that he said that shows that he in fact is, it's probably this not a real schos. The Hilchasa Smachta Kanya. The halacha is in fact that a Smachta is Kanya, that what his statements are enough to have these effects. However, Lulu the Einus, it has to be in a situation where it was not an Einus. If there was an Einus, then we wouldn't say. Vahu the Kanami, they had to make a kinyan and also be based in Chashav, in the Chashav base, the not Kan.